everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. And I was just joking like about this plant. It's taken over. I'm so proud of it. But anyway, we're going to do a heavenly handheld today, and this is kind of a bonus because you're going to learn how to make Italian meatballs, an easy marinara sauce using rayos, and sliders. So today the heavenly handheld are meatball sliders. Let me show you. If you'll pan down, Mr. Cameraman, I want to show you how delicious these are. And I've got two versions here. One, if you really like cheese like I do, one has a layer of fresh mozzarella, and the other one is just meatball with the sauce and some Parmesan sprinkled on top and a little parsley. So this is an easy one. This is fun. If you want to turn it into a pasta meal, you can make some pasta and serve the meatballs and marinara over pasta sauce. And I want to apologize for my voice. It is just allergy season here in the South, and so I don't have a really good one, but thanks for being here with me anyway, and let's get to cooking. Alrighty, y'all, let's make some meatballs. So you're going to start with a meatball mix. I am so blessed because Rouse's actually provides meatball mix already done. But really all it is pork, veal, and beef in equal parts. This is about 1.5 pounds. And I'll end up with a dozen really nice sized meatballs. So here's a little trick. If you really want to activate your seasonings, you can heat them up in a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. So in this olive oil, I put 3 tablespoons of Italian seasoning and a tablespoon of minced garlic. And that just brings out the flavor. Now we're going to add some salt, some cracked black pepper. I'll add in some paprika. I love smoked paprika. It just gives meat such a nice flavor. And then finally we're going to add some parsley just for color. So just sprinkle a little bit of that on. You can use, a tablespoon. I just kind of eyeball it. And now I'm going to chop in some fresh chives from my herb garden. I actually went out earlier today and these just look so good. And I thought, wow, what a perfect addition to the meatballs. And I'll give it that little bit of an onion flavor. Some people actually put onion in their meatballs, but I don't. I just prefer to add seasonings and chives or green onion to get that flavor. And remember, I am so pro having scissors in your kitchen. It just speeds everything up. Now it's time to add the breadcrumbs, but before I do that, I'm going to crumble up this meat. And you'll see lots of people talk about don't overwork the meat, it's going to be tough. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's true. But you can see I'm being very gentle and just mixing it up. And because I activated the seasonings in the olive oil, they're just spreading across the meat so easily. So I really recommend you do that. Just make sure it's cool before you add it to your meat mixture. And the wet ingredients really are few and far between. I'm going to add 2 whisked up eggs to this mixture. And y'all, some people soak their breadcrumbs in milk, and I've done it both ways, and actually I just prefer the dry breadcrumbs. Because I use the olive oil to activate the seasonings, I've got plenty of moisture. So these are definitely not going to be dry. And now for the best ingredient of all, drum roll please, cheese. So this is just grated Parmesan. And that really will make the meatballs so flavorful. So I'm going to mix all of this together. You can see I've got half a cup of water on standby, but I'm not going to need it. These are so moist and just coming together so beautifully. So again, gently mixing everything around. You notice I'm not really packing anything in. I'm just kind of crumbling the meat. And that's how you want to do it. And now, once this is mixed together, I'm going to show you how to make a meatball. All right, let's make some meatballs. I'm dipping my fingers in water, and that just keeps the meat from sticking to my hands. And so I've grabbed a handful, and I'm going to roll it around and slap it into my hand. Roll it again, slap, and it'll form a perfect meatball. So I'll show you one more time. Roll it around. I'm not squeezing it too much. Slap it in. Again. A third time for good measure. And there's your meatballs. Y'all, I love to fry up my meatballs in my wok because you don't have to use very much oil. I used 1/4 cup of avocado oil. I am going to have to fry 4 at a time, but I'm not cooking these all the way through. I'm really just browning the outside. So each one takes about a minute per side, and then I'm going to put them in on a plate to drain, and then we'll add them to the marinara sauce. So basically, you're just browning them up, and it just brings out the flavor. So this is what you want your meatballs to look like. They are brown all the way around and just not cooked inside. You can see in this one, it's, kind of peek in there. It's still a little pink. That's okay because it's going to finish cooking in the marinara sauce. So that's basically it. So you fry up all your meatballs, let them drain, and then add them to the sauce. So to make a marinara sauce from scratch takes hours and hours. I'm going to show you my shortcut, and it is delicious. So start with a good drizzle of olive oil and a couple of tablespoons of butter. That's about half a stick. Let that melt down, and we're going to add some garlic to that. And after the garlic, then I'm going to show you my secret sauce. Well, I'm just going to confess, I use Rao's. Rao's is absolutely one of the best marinara sauces on the market. And I just doctor it up a little bit. I mean, it's pretty good on its own, but I like that little addition of garlic, and I'm going to add some fresh herbs from the garden. So you'll see that in just a minute. I've got to let this butter melt down just a little bit more. But again, stay with your garlic. You don't want that burning because that will ruin the taste. So let's pour in the Rao's. I know it's coming soon. Here we go. So I'm going to add this, and I'll actually add a second jar because we've got so many meatballs. and I don't want them starving for sauce. And you can just use this sauce for all sorts of things. So I'm going to stir that around. So I'm adding a second jar of Raos, and we'll mix all of this together, and I'm going to bring it to a soft boil before I add the meatballs to it. But let me grab a few herbs from the garden. I had some rosemary, which you'll see, and some fresh oregano, and a little bit of thyme. And don't worry, I'm going to fish that stick out. I'll break up the oregano. Every time I use oregano, I think about my mother made a spaghetti sauce, and I don't know, I guess she was heavy-handed with her oregano, and I thought it tasted great, but she was like, I just ruined it. Oregano can be so strong. So I'm always careful with it because it can overpower everything. And that was just a few sprigs of thyme. So mix all that together and let this come to a nice soft boil, and then we're going to add in the meatballs. Okay, you can see it's starting to bubble, and I'm going to actually add a couple of fresh basil leaves just to give it a little bit more flavor. And then we're going to put our meatballs in. And I started to just prong it, but actually hands. Use your hands. They're a lot more gentle on the meatballs, and I can get them in there faster. So you really want every meatball to have its own little area. But these were just formed beautifully, and they're not falling apart. So that is fantastic. That's what you want in your meatballs. So I'll take a wooden spoon and gently stir. And just coat the meatballs. And then I'm going to actually cover this up and let them cook for at least 30 minutes. But honestly, if you can leave this on low for longer, the longer the better, actually. You know, you can go a couple of hours. Just go in there and stir it once in a while, and it'll be more flavorful. So enjoy.